as I talked about a moment ago, the purpose of the Secular Student Alliance is to empower secular students who are normalizing secular identity and spreading secular values, and hopefully complicating that question about what secular values are about as well. Since the year 2000, the Secular Student Alliance has grown from a tiny handful of groups to a national network of hundreds of groups with thousands of individual student members and several professional staff. That growth in the Secular Student Alliance's work is only possible because thousands of people have decided to pitch in their time, their money, their effort to make it a reality. And obviously part of that is all the incredibly dedicated activists and student leaders that lead our groups and that are active on campus. But also, we found that we need staff, we need group running guides, we need conferences, we need travel aid, and a whole lot more. And all of that stuff all together ended up costing about $800,000 for the Secular Student Alliance last year. And about 90%, in fact over 90% of the support that comes in to make all of that possible comes in from people who donated, and the vast majority of those people are not students. So the reality is that the Secular Student Alliance benefits greatly from having ambassadors, from having people who are willing to use their charisma, their reputation, their moxie to go out and cheerlead for us and to encourage people to say, hey, I think what the Secular Student Alliance is doing is really worthwhile. I'm supporting it, and I think you should too. And there are dozens and dozens of people who've gone above and beyond in order to make that possible, and I am incredibly thankful to all of them. Last year, we introduced an award, the Secular Student Alliance Ambassador Award, to call out people who've done an especially outstanding job of providing that support and being an ambassador to the wider world on why the values of the Secular Student Alliance matter. And fitting with our tradition of modifying tradition, we're going to modify this one a little bit from last year. Last year was an especially difficult fundraising year for the Secular Student Alliance. And when one of tonight's winners called me up and asked if there was something that he might be able to do with his podcast to help us out, I was incredibly touched. When he told me that he had 160,000 monthly downloads and that he'd raised tens of thousands of dollars for the Foundation Beyond Belief last year, I was excited and interested. Intrigued, even. He asked how far behind we were then, and I told him that it looked like we were about $40,000 behind. And he said that they were able to raise a little bit more than that last year, but that was because of some matching offers they had. But all the same, they had learned a bit from how things went last year, and he thought that, that would be, it's a stretch goal, but it's not insane. Maybe we can help you with that. And a few days before the broadcast-a-thon, I think I got a Facebook message that was like, hey, can you be on the show the week before, or whatever it was, the show preceding the 24-hour broadcast-a-thon that he was organizing for us. And I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, I have a surprise for you. I was like, oh, okay. I hope it's good. And he's like, oh yeah, no, you're going to be happy. And so, I'll be honest, I was hoping that he'd found a matching offer, and that I would call in and get to hear this and be excited. I called in, and what he told me was that the first guest of the broadcast-a-thon would be Daniel Dennett. I've never been so not disappointed in my life. That was really spectacular news. I remembered all the incredible hours I had spent reading Darwin's Dangerous Idea, and Elbow Room, and Consciousness Explained, and Breaking the Spell, and Freedom Evolves, and Mindstorms. Can you tell I'm a fan? And having one of my personal heroes lend his name to the work that I had devoted my adult life to was very, very exciting to me. And then the 24-hour broadcast-a-thon came very soon after, and Dan was awesome and said all sorts of things which really, really warmed my heart and made me super happy about him being there and about the broadcast-a-thon. Dan was awesome. Do you know what else is awesome? Cake. Cake is awesome. I like cake a lot. Carrot cake might be my favorite kind of cake. Do you know what's even more awesome than cake? Having your cake and eating it too. In the second hour of the broadcast-a-thon, Todd Stiefel was on. And what did he do but announce a $50,000 matching offer? So, indeed, yes. Let Todd know you care. So in the remaining 22 hours of the broadcast-a-thon, we got to work towards that matching offer. And that was just, that was all right. Listening to all those hours of all the student stories and all the hosts go and talk about, is Pete on yet? And, or have you been Pete on? That was, if you haven't heard it, anyway. Hours of fun, there was, yeah. Go back and listen sometime. I was earlier tempted to repeat some of the things, but now I've lost my nerve as I'm up here. And yeah, some of it was a little bit, aimed for maybe not high school students. Yeah, so throughout the broadcast-a-thon, though, not only did I get to have all this excitement, hear all these great things, I also learned a secret that I hadn't realized before, which was that, and this is where we get to breaking with tradition, which is that our winner was not acting alone. He, in fact, had a team, but he also had one person in particular who actually was managing all kinds of very important details behind the scenes and was actually making things work and run. And that's our second winner tonight. And in the end, on December 13th, when we all very groggily reached, I think it was 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Central, 1 Eastern, not only had the broadcast-a-thon raised over $105,000 for the Secular Student Alliance, but they had also brought us dozens and dozens, hundreds actually, of new members, and they also contributed tremendously to raising our social media numbers. We had all kinds of followers that we didn't have before. And I also learned how incredibly talented everybody within the Dogma Debate team was at communicating about our values. It was just wonderful to have people that were so good at sharing, values in general, sure, and talking about values, but our values that are based around the notion that all of us get one shot at this life, and that we have an incredibly important, opportunity for ourselves, but a duty to everybody else, because they only get one shot too. And if that shot gets taken away, there's no real way to ever fix that. And to hear them talking about it, and to hear so many people getting energized about that, was incredibly moving. And that's why it's my great pleasure to present the 2016 SSA Ambassador Award to David Smalley and Brandy Madden. Please welcome. You are welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You want to say thank you too, I'm sure. She doesn't talk a lot if you hear the show. Yeah, the 24-hour broadcast-a-thon was a lot of fun for us. And, hearing everything, Sikivu, that you do and following your career and knowing everything that you're doing is very moving and touching and amazing and in the trenches. And I feel a little silly coming up here going, I stayed awake for 24 hours. But it's one of these things that, it's not just, it's certainly not about me or even about Dogma Debate. The staff that came together to make it happen, just to give you an idea, we have about 42 people that are volunteers within the organization. We had 24 guests and 24 students or staff of SSA that called in. So if I were to thank everyone involved, I would just be here reading names for the next 2.5 hours. So I can't do that. But I do want you to know that what we were so passionate about was the future of secularism, the future of the country, and what better group of people to invest in than our students, which will be the leaders of the future. So we appreciate that, that you were able to join us for that, and that you allowed us to help you, because that's a lot of, shall I say, faith you put into us, because it was a lot of pressure to make that happen. And I'll say, too, that, you know, a lot of our volunteers, from the IT folks, Philip Kaiser, to the on-air staff, like, you know, Donovan Baker, and the graphic designer, Nicole Crenshaw, and all of the people showed up to our house and donated items to be auctioned off. And one in particular was an autographed copy of Hitch 22 that went for, I think, over $1,000, I believe, $1,200 or so, just in that one item. And he walked up and he said, "I want to donate this for the broadcast-a-thon." And I opened it and saw that it was signed, and I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yes, don't ask me that again." And I said, "Okay." And we didn't ask him again, and it was such an honor. So we're very honored to be a part of that we could help. And I'm proud to announce, and I can tell you right now, this year we're doing it again for our third annual 24-hour broadcast-a-thon, and the recipient this year will be Camp Quest. So, of course, there's a huge thank you to all of our staff, and, of course, Todd Stiefel for setting the bar so incredibly high in his generosity. But I also have to say there's one particular staff member that's been a part of our group for about 3 years. He organized, he was our first ever volunteer. He built the volunteer infrastructure. He was the editor-in-chief of Secular News Network. He was the former president of Secular Media Group. And we lost him yesterday. His name is John Karff, for those who aren't aware. He died last night in Florida, in Jacksonville. And so all of our thoughts and good vibes are with his family. And I would like to dedicate this award to him tonight. So thank you to John. Thank you to everybody for making this happen. We appreciate it.
I just would like to say that even though I don't talk that much, I found that there are things that empower me, and there are things that drive me to speak up. And I just want everyone to know that your voice does matter, and to speak up when you can, and donate when you can, because there is no way that David or I, or Dogma Debate with the 40 volunteers, would have been able to do this without every single donation. And that's from the $5 donations to the thousands of dollars. It took everyone. And so be that voice and be that donor, even if it's a small amount and you think it doesn't matter, because it does matter.
Thank you very much.